In this episode, we're going to be talking about how gratitude creates wealth.
Welcome to Thriving Launch with Louise Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all.
5 days a week, we bring you different segments to inspire you to live a life of freedom. We interview the leading experts in the field of business, health, and love. Be sure to check out Training Tuesdays, where we give you a clear action plan to grow your own business. Maybe you can relate to this. When I was a full-time coach, keep repeating the same things to people over and over and over again, and it got to be kind of draining, and I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing anymore. So what I decided to do was record the things that I had to tell clients over and over and over again, and then I packaged those recordings together and sold them as an online course. If you're interested in creating and selling your own online course, head over to thrivinglaunch.com, and I have a free training for you on how to create and make passive income through your own online course.
So excited to have Pam Grout on the podcast today. She is a best-selling author, international best-selling author. She's written over 18 books. You're going to see a lot of those on the New York Times bestseller list. She's been featured on places like CNN Travel, Huffington Post, People Magazine. It's amazing to have Pam here today with her new book coming out, Think and Grow Rich.
Welcome to the show, Pam. Are you ready to launch?
I am ready to launch. Hey, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
I love it. You know, my mom is currently reading your book, Think and Grow Rich. I'm really excited to talk about that. I'm a big fan of the book. That your book sounds very much like Think and Grow Rich, and I love your title, Think and Grow Rich. Let's jump into it. To me, I want to know, why did you choose that title?
Well, I mean, everybody's heard of Think and Grow Rich, like you said. And what I say in the book is that, you know, really the best way to get rich, and I also talk about different kinds of capital than financial capital, because there's a lot of different ways to feel abundant and to be abundant. But anyway, because everybody heard of Think and Grow Rich, I think it's a kind of a catchy title, the Think and Grow Rich. And what I say in the book is, you know, you can think all you want, but the really best way to get rich is to start thanking and to get on this frequency of joy and gratitude. And when you get on that frequency, then your life just starts working in magical ways. And so it's a good way to get in the now. It's a good way to really start seeing all the beauty and the wonder and the awe that surrounds us at all times, but that we so often forget because we're so busy following the 7 steps to this or the 7 steps to that. So obviously it is a takeoff on Napoleon Hill's book, but I call it, the subtitle's a 30-day experiment in shameless gratitude and unabashed joy. And in it, you know, I encourage people to be grateful for everything, because there is so much to be grateful for. And we're so, again, focused on all the things that aren't going right that we forget to realize how much there is to celebrate in our lives.
What you're saying is incredibly powerful to me. I go on all sorts of PR slews where I'm on a bunch of podcasts, radio shows, blogs, and I get interviewed a lot. And one of the questions that comes up quite often is, what does achievement, success look like for you? How will you know that you are really successful, Luis? And my answer is always, the more that I can feel love, the more that I can feel thankful. And if I'm feeling that, then I am successful, because at the end of the day, most of us are doing something to get somewhere else. So we want a great job so that we can be happy. We want more money so that, we can buy things, and we want those things so that we can be happy. So if I'm at the state of happiness and bliss and joy, then I've achieved the very thing that I'm after. And if I can do all those other things and have more of the things and do more of those other things, that's great. But if I can't be happy through that process, then I probably won't be able to fully enjoy it. I had this experience where I went on this kind of gratitude rampage where I was just like, I'm going to pick throughout the day as many things to be thankful as possible. And I did that for a week straight, and something just like blew up inside me. I felt just this overwhelming, it's inexplicable, guys, how wonderful I felt. And yet nothing had really changed. Not really. My income hadn't changed. My lack of a partner, this was when I didn't have a partner like Kamala. I just didn't have a partner. My grades in school, because I was in school, hadn't changed. And yet something inside blew up in me, and I've never felt that happy, truthfully, never that level of happiness. And I know that I can consistently go back to something like it, or a level of happiness like that it was amazing. And it was because I went on this gratitude rant. And I really believe what you're saying is so true. There's so many of us going after a goal, right? And we get the goal, but it's not enough. We go to the next goal and the next goal and the next goal, and somehow we're still unsatisfied.
Yeah, no, that's so true. In fact, I think, obviously you've accomplished all those goals that you mentioned earlier. You've got this wonderful partner, you've got this amazing job and all these different things now. And it probably, a lot of it had to do with the fact that you did get on that gratitude frequency, because when you get on that frequency, everything in your life changes. And the coolest thing about it when you get on that gratitude frequency is that all those things you were trying to get before, they come to you easily and smoothly. Because see, there's this abundant universe out there. There's this intelligent universe that is always trying to interact with us, that is always trying to bless us. But because we're on this other frequency, this frequency of, oh, something's wrong, life sucks, and then you die, just those kind of frequencies, when you're on that, you miss this universe, this intelligent universe can't get through to you. So when you get, I also call it the divine buzz, when you're in this divine buzz, which sounds like you were when you were on that rampage of gratitude, it literally rewrites and changes everything. It rewrites your neurochemistry. It makes you feel differently. And anything you've ever wanted, manifestation, whatever, it starts coming to you in really easy ways. I mean, you will be led, you will be guided. It's just this remarkable, magical thing that can happen. And all of us can have that once we get on this other frequency where we start looking for all the things that are going right instead of all the things that are going wrong.
I'm absolutely with you there. I mean, if you look at the whole universe, it's nothing but vibrational frequencies, and what are we deciding to entrain to? So thank you so much for that. What a beautiful gift that you've given us all to look at the world that way at this moment. And one thing I'd love to hear from you is these different forms of abundance, that there's so much more than financial wealth. I'd love to hear more about that from you.
Yeah, well, I've divided up into 5 different kinds of capital. Everybody thinks abundance or wealth is financial capital. But again, as Luis was saying, a lot of times you can have that and you may not even be that happy. So the 5 kinds of capital that I encourage people to amass in this book, it starts with spiritual capital. And that's, kind of this unseen connection that we have to, all the world, that we're all one. And this, spiritual connection, to me, that's where real joy and happiness comes from. Creative capital, and that's where all financial capital comes from. Everything starts as an idea. When we use our imagination to come up with creative capital, I mean, every screenplay that's ever been written was started as creative capital. And, every book that's been written, it's creative capital. Every business that's been started, creative capital, that's how it gets started. So creative capital, spiritual capital. I talk about social capital, and that's where we, make our connections with other people. And that's so important. That sense of belonging, that sense of, doing something bigger than yourself. I think, it's really easy to get into this, me thing, but really, truly what brings us the most joy and happiness is when we are serving the planet and when we are following what I call your beeps, those things that are calling out to you and wanting you to follow. So let's see, I talked about spiritual, creative, social capital, adventure capital, and that's where, you really just look at life as an adventure because, there's so many serious people out there that, are always looking at the bottom line or doing this or that, but there's so many great adventures to take. I mean, the things that I really like and the things that I want to do is have exciting adventures. Like I do a lot of traveling. I'm a travel writer as well. So I'm always, trying to collect experiences, I guess, more than anything else. So adventures, I think, are important. And adventures don't even have to be like foreign traveling. It can be, an adventure of walking down your street and really opening your eyes and looking at all that's there because we miss most everything. And the final type of capital that I talk about in this book is what I call alchemic capital. And that's like alchemy. It's the ability to change things. And we all have the ability to make changes in our lives. So that's the 5th kind of capital that I talk about in the book. And I have a like an earnings report sheet, and I have people, where do you think you rate in these 5 kinds of capital when you begin? And then I have them, reassess after the 30 days are over, and I have them do this program. I've got 27 what I call party games in there because, again, I think people take things too seriously. So who wants to do exercise? So I've got 27 party games, but the only one that's required in the book is this 30-day thing that I have, and it's my AA 2.0 program. And I don't know if many of your listeners have heard me speak before, but it's something I've talked about a lot, and I can certainly, share that with your listeners if you think they might be interested.
I'd love to hear that. Yeah, and just the concept of all these different forms of capital is so powerful. What a beautiful way to look at things, because if we can measure what level of abundance we have, we're not focusing it all in money. I feel that we have, like Luis and I, we travel a lot too. We travel half the year, and that's to me is the richest I can feel in my life. And I think that we could look at all these different forms of capital and see where we're out of balance even.
Exactly. So yeah, I have like I said, this little sheet, and you rate yourself on a 1 to 10 on each of those kinds of capital. But the other thing that I think is so important, is just this idea that you are serving something bigger than yourself. And I think that is what really blesses us, and that is like the highest riches that we can possibly get. And so I think a lot of people do think of financial capital when there's just so much more. And when you have these other kinds of capital, the financial capital, it's almost like it's a side effect. It's a side effect of having these other forms of capital in place.
That to me is the best way to have that financial capital, when it's really a side effect or it's a part of a bigger picture and not just a thing that is secluded and just this own little experience of, oh, wow, I've got an influx of money. But there isn't these other aspects that are also really rich and plump within my kind of quadrants, as you're putting it, my adventure quadrant, and I wanted to add something there that you said, because when we talk about capital, it's really interesting. As many of you guys already know, I used to teach the work of Dr. John and Julie Gottman in relationships and marriage education. And one of the things that they talk about is a positive bank account of emotional investment in the relationship, positive bank account of positive sentiments. I forget the specific word right now. It's been so long since I talked about this stuff, but basically we have positive emotions in our relationship that allow us to have a healthy and thriving relationship, in our marriage or with our kids or our friends. And that's another kind of bank account too.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that kind of falls into the social capital, but that's so terribly important.
So you wanted to kind of talk a little bit about your AA 2.0 system. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. In fact, this 30-day experiment, that's what I have people do, this program for 30 days. And it is so simple. And the reason I call it AA 2.0, you've heard of the first AA. It's a 12-step program, right? Well, I'm all about smooth and easy. So this is a simple program. It only has 2 steps. And step 1 is you get up every morning, and the first thing you do before you pull off your covers, before you brush your teeth, before you do anything, you just set the intention. You say, something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. And that's where I got the AA, the amazingly awesome. I actually went through the entire alphabet and like something bodaciously beautiful. But anyway, usually I say amazingly awesome, and that's how the whole thing got started. But you get up and you set that intention. It's like, you know what? This is what I'm looking for today. I'm going to have an amazingly awesome day. And then step 2, and this goes back to the gratitude, I have what I call my possibility posse. And these are 5 friends, and every day I text them 5 blessings from the day before. And a lot of people do gratitude lists, but the thing that's unique about this is every day it has to be something different. You cannot repeat. Like, I've always been big, I love my career. I'm going to get travel over the world. I love my daughter, that kind of thing. But no, this has to be something different. So every day I'm like Lewis and Clark, man, I'm out there. I am scouting for those blessings. And you do find you animate into your life whatever you put your attention upon. So if you put your attention upon looking for blessings and miracles, what do you think you're going to see? Blessings and miracles. So anyway, that's the little program. I mean, it's super, super simple, but it just changes your focus and, how you're looking at life, and it changes everything.
There's this little phrase that we used to say when I taught energy medicine. It was where your intention goes, your energy flows. And I think that is really true for what you bring back to you as well. I know when I'm in a good space, or when I witness people in a good space putting out intentions for good things to come to them, it happens. Magic can happen every single day of our lives. We open ourselves up to it.
Right. Well, it is happening every single day of our lives, but honestly, we don't see it a lot.
We're not paying attention.
Exactly. We've collapsed the wave. We live in this infinite field of, infinite potential. I call it field of infinite potentiality in my other books, E Squared, the one that became the huge international bestseller, the field of infinite potentiality. But all we see is the waves that we've collapsed. It's like, here's unlimited. I mean, that means infinite, like there's no end to it. But yet we collapse like this finite little thing and we think this is the world, So, and all of us have our own little picture, our own little reality, our own little hologram of what we're seeing out there when there's so much more possible. So I think the biggest thing that I like people doing when you get in this frequency of joy and gratitude, you're just open to so many more things. There's just so many more possibilities out there because they really are infinite. I mean, that means there is no end to it. And our little pea brains have a hard time even grasping the concept of infinitude, but truly that is what's available to us.
What I love about what you're saying is, for me, very reminiscent of when my life fell apart and I felt like I had hit rock bottom. Relationship ended, job ended, unemployment had ended, unemployment income had ended, and I just didn't really have anything. And I was sleeping on my friend's couch, and I've always been the successful one in my friendship with this particular friend, and so sleeping on his couch for me and getting to this place was rock bottom. I couldn't imagine going any lower. And I went through a time period where I felt very bad about my life. Like, man, why am I here? This sucks. This doesn't feel good. This is terrible. I'm so broke and I can't find a job and I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. And you know where that road ends up leading. And maybe sometimes we need that. But I ended up going to kind of this place where maybe I needed that so that part of me could kind of burn up, because I eventually got to the place where it was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't wake up and have these messages going off in my head to myself. I can't even tell myself that this is the reality that I'm living, and continue this into tomorrow. So I have to do something, and it has to start today. And so I started doing these practices where I'd wake up and I'm laying there on his couch, and I'd wake up, my eyes would open, I'd close my eyes again, and I would say, I'm really thankful for today. Money has flowed in like never before, and I am incredibly grateful and appreciative for all the miracles that have come through. And then I just kind of go through my day, just brush my teeth, get ready for the day. And then at some point later in the day, I had this idea. This is the first time I did it. I was like, what if just for right now, just for the heck of it, I'm going to just feel and pretend that I just received $10,000. I've never had that before. Most I'd ever made in a year was like $50,000 in a year, working full time, if not more. But I'm just going to pretend this right now that this just happened. And I closed my eyes, and then I opened my eyes and just started walking as if that had happened. Like, oh, how does that feel? Oh my God, I feel so grateful for this. And things dramatically shifted in less than a month's time. Out of the blue, somebody called me and hired me for a job that paid more money than I'd ever made. And it was a really incredible job. And then soon after, Kamala came into my life and she whisked me away from my job. And, we got a chance to start a business, and all these different things started to happen. And I really feel that the really pivotal shift was my desire to start, one, being thankful for what I had, and being even thankful for experiences that hadn't come yet.
No, exactly. It's causative energy. Gratitude is causative energy. It actually plants seeds that can grow into just unlimited abundance. And again, it puts you on a frequency where you're connected to all that, because the truth is we already are connected to all the abundance we could ever want. But because we've collapsed the wave and we're believing in this, woe is me tale, we're not seeing it. It's just not materially manifest in our lives. So once you get onto that other frequency, it shows up and it's there. I mean, it just comes out the wazoo. I mean, literally, it's amazing. Like this woman that I wrote about today on my blog, she had been doing, law of attraction, all that kind of thing. And she said she had some success, but once she started just really focusing on gratitude, she was trying to find a job. And she said she just had this hit not to look for the job, but to just really start focusing on all of her blessings. And then all of a sudden she just gets this hit, go walk down Webb Street. And so, after she sent out all of her resumes, she walks down Webb Street. She ends up walking in this jewelry store. It ends up being this woman that hires her to be a marketing director. It's like this perfect job, lots of money. But literally, because she had gotten on this frequency of gratitude, I mean, literally for 3 days, that's all she was doing was think about all she was grateful for. And this job just falls into her lap. This intuition, go walk down Webb Street. That's what happened. And that's exactly where the job was. So, and that's what I mean. Like this interaction is there. The perfect answer to whatever is troubling you is right there. once you get on that frequency, and then it can speak to you.
Yes, absolutely. Before we close out today, I just want to I'm so grateful for you, Pam, for the work that you're doing and the work that you're putting out there to the world so we can build more gratitude as a species. I think gratitude can be the birthplace of love. So I would love to hear from you. Is there anything that you want to make sure that we all walk away with today? Any message that is the heart of what you want to share?
Well, just that we are all loved so much and that we are actually love. I mean, who we are is love. And anytime we're not acting out of love, like we might be judging something, or again, we're not grateful, then we're actually in stress. So anytime we're not being who we are, which is love, I mean, that's all we are. We're love, wanting to give, wanting to express our gifts. So when we're in that state, we're happy, we're joyful. But anytime we're not, we're judging this or that's not going right or whatever, then, like I said, our body's in stress. So basically just to realize how much we are all loved and how much we are love. I mean, that's who we are, and how much this universe wants to interact with us and wants to shower us with blessings and beautiful things.
We've been here with Pam Grout. It's been so fantastic to have you on the show with the Thriving Launchers listening in. Thank you all for being here, and keep thriving, everyone.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there.
Be sure to listen to our next episode where we interview Dr. Venus, from the streets of Hard Knocks to millionaire to educating people around the world on how to overcome their trials and tribulations and create an empowering story through their past. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to rate and review our show and subscribe to the show from your favorite podcast app.